The year 1991 marked the end of an era, a pivotal moment in world history that would reshape the geopolitical landscape. The Soviet Union, a mighty power that had dominated Eastern Europe for decades, crumbled under the weight of its own inefficiencies and internal strife. In its wake, 15 new nations emerged, eager to chart their own course and establish their identities on the global stage. Among them was Ukraine, a vast country with a rich history and a complex identity stretching from the Carpathian Mountains in the west to the Black Sea in the south. Ukraine's independence was a momentous event, celebrated with parades and national pride, but it was also a source of tension and uncertainty. The country was deeply divided between those who looked west towards Europe, aspiring for integration with the European Union, and those who felt a strong connection to Russia, rooted in shared history and culture. This divide would have profound consequences in the years to come, influencing political decisions and sparking conflicts that would shape the nation's future. The early years of Ukrainian independence were marked by political and economic instability, as the country grappled with the challenges of newfound sovereignty. The country struggled to transition from a centrally planned economy to a market-based one, facing numerous obstacles along the way. Corruption was rampant, and the government was weak, unable to effectively address the needs of its citizens or implement necessary reforms. These challenges made it difficult for Ukraine to find its footing in the New World Order, as it navigated the complexities of international relations and sought to establish its place on the global stage. Despite these struggles, the spirit of the Ukrainian people remained resilient, drawing strength from their rich cultural heritage and a deep-seated desire for a better future. As the years passed, Ukraine began to make strides in various fields, from technology to education, driven by a new generation eager to build a prosperous and independent nation. Through perseverance and determination, Ukraine sought to forge strong international partnerships and play an active role in global organizations, striving to secure a stable and prosperous future for its people. In 2004, Ukraine became the focus of international attention. The world watched closely as the political landscape of this Eastern European nation was dramatically transformed. When a disputed presidential election sparked mass protests, the streets of Kiev and other major cities were filled with people demanding justice and transparency. These protests, known as the Orange Revolution, were driven by allegations of widespread electoral fraud. Citizens from all walks of life came together, united by a common cause to fight for their democratic rights. The Orange Revolution forced the Ukrainian government to hold a new election, which was won by the pro-Western Viktor Yushchenko. His victory was seen as a triumph for those advocating for closer ties with Europe, and a move away from Russian influence. The Orange Revolution was a victory for democracy in Ukraine, but it also deepened the country's divisions. While many celebrated the outcome, others felt alienated and concerned about the future direction of the nation. Russia, which had supported Yushchenko's opponent, saw the Orange Revolution as a Western-backed coup. The Kremlin was alarmed by the prospect of losing its influence over Ukraine, a country it considered within its sphere of influence. The Kremlin viewed the protests as a direct threat to its interests in the region. Russian officials were quick to denounce the movement, framing it as an orchestrated effort by Western powers to undermine Russian authority. This event further strained relations between Russia and Ukraine, setting the stage for future conflicts. The Orange Revolution not only reshaped Ukraine's political landscape, but also had lasting implications for its relationship with Russia and the broader geopolitical dynamics in the region. The reverberations of this pivotal moment continue to be felt to this day, influencing the ongoing struggle for Ukraine's sovereignty and its place in the world. In 2014, Russia seized the Crimean Peninsula from Ukraine. This event marked a turning point in the relationship between the two countries. The annexation of Crimea was widely condemned by the international community, and it led to the imposition of sanctions against Russia. The annexation of Crimea was a clear violation of international law. It was also a strategic move by Russia to gain control of a strategically important region. Crimea is home to the Russian Black Sea Fleet, and it gives Russia control over the Kerch Strait, which connects the Black Sea to the Sea of Azov. Following the annexation of Crimea, pro-Russian separatists in eastern Ukraine launched an armed rebellion against the Ukrainian government. This conflict, known as the War in Donbas, has been ongoing ever since. The war in Donbas is a complex and brutal conflict that has claimed the lives of thousands of people. Russia has provided significant support to the separatists in Donbas, including weapons, training, and military personnel. The Ukrainian government, with the support of Western countries, has been fighting to regain control of the region. Despite numerous attempts at a ceasefire, the conflict in Donbas has continued to simmer. Section 5. The Minsk Accords, a fragile peace. The Minsk Accords were a series of agreements aimed at halting the ongoing conflict in the Donbas region of Ukraine. In 2014 and 2015, a series of agreements known as the Minsk Accords were signed in an attempt to end the war in Donbas. The conflict had already caused significant loss of life and displacement of civilians, creating a humanitarian crisis. The Minsk Accords called for a ceasefire, which was seen as a crucial first step towards de-escalation. The agreements also mandated the withdrawal of heavy weapons from the line of contact, aiming to reduce the intensity of the fighting and create a buffer zone. Additionally, the Minsk Accords outlined the need for constitutional reforms in Ukraine that would grant greater autonomy to the Donbas region. This was intended to address some of the political grievances that had fueled the conflict. However, the Minsk Accords have been repeatedly violated by both sides, with numerous reports of ceasefire breaches and continued skirmishes. As a result, the conflict in Donbas has continued, causing further destruction and suffering for the people living in the region. The failure of the Minsk Accords to bring about a lasting peace in Donbas is a testament to the deep mistrust and animosity between Russia and Ukraine. Despite numerous diplomatic efforts, the underlying issues remain unresolved, and the region remains a flashpoint for tension and violence. International efforts to mediate the conflict have also faced significant challenges as global powers struggle to find a mutually acceptable solution. The Minsk Accords, while a step in the right direction, highlight the complexities of achieving peace in a deeply divided region. Section 6, February 2022. Invasion. On February 24, 2022, Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. This marked a dramatic escalation of the conflict between the two countries. The invasion was met with widespread international condemnation, and many countries imposed sanctions on Russia. The Russian invasion has had a devastating impact on Ukraine. Millions of people have been displaced from their homes and thousands have been killed. The invasion has also had a profound impact on the global order, leading to increased tensions between Russia and the West. Section 7. A global response, sanctions and support. The international community responded to the Russian invasion of Ukraine with a series of sanctions against Russia. These sanctions were designed to cripple the Russian economy and pressure the Kremlin to end the war. In addition to sanctions, many countries have provided military and humanitarian aid to Ukraine. The United States, the European Union, and other Western countries have provided billions of dollars in military aid to Ukraine, including weapons, ammunition, and training. Humanitarian organizations have also been working to provide food, water, shelter, and medical care to those affected by the conflict. Section 8. The human cost of war. The war in Ukraine has had a devastating human cost. Thousands of civilians have been killed, and millions have been displaced from their homes. The war has also had a profound impact on the mental health and well-being of Ukrainians. The United Nations estimates that over 10 million Ukrainians have been internally displaced since the start of the conflict, while millions more have fled to neighboring countries. The war has created a humanitarian crisis of immense proportions. Section 9. Shifting tides, Ukrainian resilience. Despite facing a much larger and better equipped military, Ukraine has been able to put up a fierce resistance against the Russian invasion. The Ukrainian military, with the support of Western countries, has inflicted heavy casualties on Russian forces. The Ukrainian people have also shown incredible resilience in the face of adversity. Ukrainians from all walks of life have taken up arms to defend their country. Civilians have been providing support to the military, volunteering in their communities, and sharing information about Russian troop movements. This spirit of resistance has been crucial in slowing down the Russian advance. Section 10. Geopolitical upheaval, a new world order. The Russian invasion of Ukraine has sent shockwaves through the international system. It has challenged the post-Cold War security architecture in Europe and raised questions about the future of global order. The invasion has led to a significant strengthening of NATO, with Finland and Sweden abandoning their long-standing neutrality to join the alliance. It has also resulted in a deepening of ties between Russia and China. The long-term consequences of the war are still unfolding. Section 11. A long road ahead, uncertain future. As of late 2023, the war in Ukraine grinds on, with no end in sight. The conflict has entered a protracted phase, with both sides digging in and preparing for a long and bloody struggle. The outcome of the war remains uncertain, but it is clear that the conflict will have a lasting impact on Ukraine, Russia, and the world. The war has already resulted in a tragic loss of life, displacement on a massive scale, and economic devastation. The path to peace remains elusive.